The following program is sponsored by Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County and the generous gifts of these contributors.
Welcome to our 46th season of Mosaic. I'm your host, Susan Shulman Pertnoy. Mosaic is Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County's weekly news magazine, exploring the most critical issues facing Jews here and around the world. Today on Mosaic, we bridge the generation gap with Kim and Grandma Gail, the duo that has listeners around the world saying, "Excuse my grandma." We'll talk dating, Jewish traditions, and connecting with family. Stay with us. We're so proud to celebrate our community visionaries, donors who contribute $1 million or more, serving as an inspiration for all of Jewish Palm Beach.
The Activate Jewish Life movement is a first of its kind, intends to connect with families with children, to connect with teens, to connect with young adults. However people want to engage with Jewish life, we want to make sure that we are providing them with an opportunity to engage in ways that have relevance and meaning for them. What an opportunity we have to change the face of Jewish life.
Welcome back. We're going to have a fun show today. Joining us is a dynamic duo, Kim Murstein and Grandma Gail Rudnick, the creators and the stars of Excuse My Grandma. Welcome to Mosaic.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, I'm so glad that you're joining us. Your show is very funny and it's heartwarming. How in the world did you create this?
So it's been 4 years now, which is so crazy to say, but I was working for a news program in New York City and we went remote during the pandemic, and so I decided to get out of New York for a little and come live with my grandparents in Palm Beach. And I was going on lots of dates. Grandma has always been no nonsense, like tells me how it is, but especially living with her, she was seeing all the ins and outs.
Well, I had a cup to the wall.
Yeah, just listening to all my conversations. And we realized in our conversations that there's so many generational differences of relationships and dating. So I said, why don't we start a podcast together? And my generation can learn from her wisdom and advice, and in turn, you could learn what's going on in my life. And so we started with that and then went to social media shortly after, where we've grown a really large following.
Well, to me, that's amazing. First of all, how familiar were you with social media?
Well, I wasn't familiar at all. I mean, I had never listened to a podcast. I don't run, I don't walk quickly, so I don't need to listen to somebody speak.
Now all she does is scroll in bed.
Now all I do is listen to different people. And we've met fabulous people who have their own podcasts, so it's great fun. But the social media part came as a secondary thing, and that's where we just took off, and that I love.
So explain that to me, because the social media part enables you to make this
money.
Profitable. Right.
Make money.
So what do you do? Can you explain what you have to do?
Yeah, of course. So we are making videos on our TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and how it works for influencers is brands approach you and they say, would you want to make a video or multiple videos for whatever campaign they're working on? So let's say...
like she was out we started working for Amazon, and Kimmy went out to Seattle and actually met with people out there and then signed a long contract with
That's
them.
more for those long-term partnerships.
And they're fabulous.
For Amazon, we were ambassadors, so it's a little different than those one-off campaigns. But yeah, typically they pay a flat fee for you to promote their products or whatever it is their campaign is for. and you can start to monetize that way.
And you know what, I think for your audience to know, nobody really, I mean, people our age do it a little more than younger people, anybody under 70. They don't go to magazines anymore to look through the magazines. They really don't go to flyers that are sent out through the mail. They basically look at their phones.
Right.
And that's where people are ordering from. And they're following, like, young people like Kim and old people like me, and what we're wearing is what they want to wear.
No, it's great.
So that's how it, and the brands know that. I
Well,
mean,
how
this is
did
not
that's my next question.
they
But
know
how many followers, or how do you track your followers so that you get to the point where brands come after you?
they know.
So a few layers here. Like, you want to create this relationship with your audience and your community, that we're not just doing an ad about anything. We're not just saying go buy this, because they're not going to believe you. They trust us. We build a relationship with the people who follow us. So if we're promoting something, it's genuinely because we use it or think it would be helpful for the people who follow us, or think that they would want to use whatever the product is. So in that sense, I think on the brand side, they are looking at how many followers you have. That's available on everyone's profile. You can see
It's amazing.
that. And then more importantly, they're looking at engagement. So if you have 1 million, this wouldn't really happen, but if you have 1 million followers and only 5 likes on a post, they're probably not going to want to work with you, because what they're looking for is that loyal audience. So even if you have 10,000 followers, but more than half of them are commenting and liking and asking what you're wearing, brands look at that and they know that that would be a good person to work with.
They know everything.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking at your phone. Everybody knows what everybody is doing.
And then
there are no secrets.
On our end, of course, I have access to all my analytics and demographics, so I can see how many shares something got. I can see on a certain video the ages of the people who viewed it, where they're located.
Are you constantly examining that?
You know what? Obviously, I'm aware of all the analytics and I look every so often, but I'm not one of those creators that are really just reproducing for the numbers. I'm kind of just posting our authentic lives, and
people love it.
People resonate.
It's
People
amazing.
Yeah, people like it all over. We've done a few live things.
Were you shocked?
Well, I was shocked. I must tell you, I was shocked, because I figured, who wants to see an old lady on a program putting on different outfits? But it's so funny. Those are the things that they really love. And they love when I dress Kimberly up. For whatever reason, this is taken off like crazy. We're always in a closet figuring out, does this shirt go with these pants, with these
But we
earrings?
were doing that before,
But we
by
would
the
do
way.
it right.
So
But
it
we
comes
always did
natural.
that.
See, it's authentic.
Exactly.
Is what
Exactly. The word is definitely authentic, because we are what we are. We're not doing anything different. The only thing is, I do now a lot of makeup, which, years ago, even 3 years ago, I wouldn't have known where to put a shadow, where to put a bronzer. You've become so that your friend is the camera. And we know that because we're on all the time. So I always say to Kim takes my best shots. She knows exactly how to place the camera. I could have 4 professionals doing it, and I say, no, wait for Kim to tell you where to put the camera. So it really shows in our videos and in our TikToks and our Instagrams, which we love to do.
Listen to your TikToks, Instagrams.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. And people all over the world really recognize us because everybody has a phone and everybody's looking.
Even in Europe? I mean, really?
Well, in Europe, yes, in Europe, very clearly. They've stopped me in museums, in restaurants, and in department stores, always saying, Grandma Gail, give us some advice.
Well, we want to hear more, but we have to take a quick break. Okay. We'll be right back after this brief message. When we come back, we'll find out how Kim and Gail stay connected and what happens when they don't agree. That's next on Mosaic. We're back talking with Excuse My Grandma stars, Gail and Kim. How did you come up with the title?
So the title, I actually think we recorded our first episode, but I didn't come out with it for months because I couldn't come up with a title that I loved. And I was polling all of my friends. I had a lot of different options. But with Excuse My Grandma, it's something that I have to find myself saying all the time. She's very outspoken. So I have to be like, excuse my grandma. She doesn't really know. Yeah. You're very, no filter.
Right,
so
no filter.
I think it just encapsulates our dynamic and really how our relationship is.
Speaking of that, how has your relationship grown since you've started this?
Well, I don't think it's grown. I'm going to be very truthful, because from the minute she was born, she was the apple of my eye and our whole family. First grandchild, all that goes with it. What's happened is I have to view her as a boss. Even though we're partners, she really runs the show. And I have to listen to her. Very often I say things that I really don't think I want her to do, and she says, no, it's good for the brand. So I have to bow to her because she understands the whole media cycle.
And I'm not like a tyrant looking for people to bow to me. I just think certain things, because I have experience in this industry at this point, you have to trust in me on that. Correct. But then I also have to trust on you in a lot of things. So yes, it's just an added dynamic in addition to grandmother, granddaughter, it's co-hosts, co-workers.
And it doesn't, people say, oh, has it made it more difficult? If anything, I know exactly what she's thinking all the time. And she knows just what I'm thinking all the time without even saying it.
Okay. Are you, well, you're not in Palm Beach all the time, so
no, half and half.
Half and half. Do you do some of the podcasts over Zoom, or you're always together?
We try not to.
Yeah.
We'll do FaceTime videos, and I was doing this anyway, even if I'm not recording it. If I'm going out with my friends one night and I need outfit advice, I'll FaceTime her, and then I'll just record the FaceTime and post it. But otherwise,
we've been utilizing where I live. We have a studio. We have a room, and we've made it into a studio.
Oh, that's
so
great.
that we bring people in who record for us and do lighting, and because it's a big job to do that. So,
and then Grandma's in New York for some of the warmer months. So. So we're always kind of on the same schedule.
And we always are in a studio.
So can you share some memorable moments?
Oh, yeah.
Of course. I think the things that stick out, we were on a billboard in Times Square.
Which was just so amazing. Nobody can even understand when you're looking up and you're seeing a tremendous billboard with your faces and some of the antics that we do together. And it was just on, and everybody in Times Square was watching us. It was
Who was advertising you?
Us. No, it was just a friend of ours who owns the billboards, and he so loves our podcast and our shows that he says, I'm doing this for you. So
yeah, it was lucky because usually I feel like if you work with a brand,
$1 million to do.
It's an ad when you work with a brand or something, typically is how I've seen influencers or actors or whoever do it. But we're lucky because we just got to promote Excuse My Grandma with bells and whistles. So that was cool. We
going
have
to Europe,
going
to Rome.
Yeah, we call it brand trips. So it's for some of the brands that we work with, they want to take you on vacation so you can kind of post content with them. So
well, it was around a movie.
For Rome,
the book
club movie with like Jane Fonda.
Yes,
Diane Keaton.
yes.
So we did all the things that they did
fun.
in the movie. We recreated. There were a whole group of us.
We've gone to the Hamptons with Eberjay, the pajama company.
We were walking around East Hampton with pajamas on. If you would have seen that, that was not a pretty sight for me.
Yeah, New York Fashion Weeks, film and TV premieres. We've been to the Google offices.
Wow,
that was fun. That was fun.
Apple office, like all the tech companies. So it's opened a lot of doors.
Our federation is focused this year on Jewish life and family engagement and connection. Mm-hmm. So how can you give your generation advice on how to engage your grandparents, their grandparents?
FaceTiming and calling and always checking in at least once a week or something is extremely important. It couldn't be easier just to send a text. And I think the other thing is to actually ask what's going on in their lives and having something to kind of follow up on and Having an activity also that you like to do together. Ours was always shopping, but there's always
Well,
something.
we tried golf.
We did try golf.
You were better than I. I mean, we do try things together, and I think that's whether we're
And
successful
your advice
or
for
not.
grandparents?
Well, my advice for grandparents is you have to make the first thing. Young people don't tend to even think about it. But you have to know that I'm going to call on Sunday night. I call my grandson. I want to know how his work week was. And then he can talk to me about his watching football or basketball or whatever it is. But you want to be involved in their lives because so many of us don't live where our grandchildren live now. And even if we do live, sometimes they're so busy with their own activities, we don't stop to think, what is my granddaughter or my grandson doing? So I think you have to really set aside a time. You know you're going to just go on Zoom or go on your phone and make the call.
Have there been any topics where you two have major disagreements, and if so, how have you navigated around them?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm trying to think in the dating sphere. In the beginning, I ruled out a lot of what she was saying because I was thinking, oh, it's old fashioned or...
And you were 24. Now you
Yeah,
got
when we
wiser.
first talking about dating and all of
Right.
that. So I think I was, for example, she was like, why don't you pick up the phone and call him and just ask to go out or whatever. And I was like, no. If I called someone, they would think I'm crazy. I have to text them and say hi and have this whole
Yeah,
conversation.
the phone is only used for texting in the beginning of dating now, which I didn't realize.
Oh.
And also, I think Kimmy's tolerance of how many dates she would give somebody before she would say, this is not my type. We have a slogan on our thing, not my type, which for Kim was almost every date that she went on. So,
Well, she's got to weed them out.
She weeded him out.
Exactly. High standards.
I thought she had to give him a little more time because in the old days you would not after 3 dates say no, he's no good. You'd give him 10 dates. So who knows? But it's a different.
I think
time.
there's a happy medium for people. I still agree you can't rule someone out after one date, but I think then when I took your advice and it was like 10 to 15,
Right.
that was too much. Like there's somewhere in the middle that you can get a good sense of who someone is.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely in the middle.
Yeah.
Do other family members try and influence you on what you talk about on your show?
They do, but we don't listen.
Oh, okay.
They
You
give
know,
ideas,
They give ideas
sometimes, but they don't.
Your mom and dad are pretty good at that.
Yeah,
They're good.
or they'll say that video was funny or I didn't like that video. Like they
Right.
give their opinion, but it's
we sort of
rarely
ignore it.
It's rarely constructive in the way that they're like, you should do this instead. It's usually just
I
this
didn't
is
like
good,
it.
this is bad. Yeah.
What kind of advice has Grandma Gail approved?
Well, the advice has to be something that you know is not going to hurt someone's feelings. It has to be constructive. Let's say that. Constructive advice always should be given. And then step back and let's see if it's taken by your grandchild or by anybody you love. It doesn't have to be a grandchild.
True.
I do it with friends. I mean, you can have an opinion, give it if it's constructive, and but don't push.
Great advice. We have to take our final break.
Okay.
We'll be right back after this brief message. Up next, we get into dating and how it's changed through the years. You won't want to miss this. Stay tuned.
Since October 7th, we have seen our community come together in ways we could not have anticipated. And that's what led to the Activating Jewish Life movement. The Activate Jewish Life movement is a first of its kind, intends to connect with families with children, to connect with teens, to connect with young adults, and ensure that they always feel as though they're part of something larger than themselves, being part of a larger Jewish community. It's such a unique opportunity to be able to launch a bold initiative just like this. The Activate Jewish Life movement is going to be a game changer. However people want to engage with Jewish life, we want to make sure that we are providing them with an opportunity to engage in ways that have relevance and meaning for them. Thanks to our partners in the Jewish community and our Federation agencies, what an opportunity we have to change the face of Jewish life.
We're back speaking with Kim and Grandma Gail of Excuse My Grandma. How has some of Grandma's dating advice affected you?
I think that she has all of these rules that are a popular series on our social media that really are helpful in a sugar-coated, positive, kind of fun way. So, for example, don't think of it like he ghosted you. Think of it as you're so out of his league you left him speechless. So it's kind of putting a positive twist on.
That's cute. They're cute.
Let's say if a guy wouldn't call me back or like didn't want to go out again, there were times where I was overanalyzing, why don't they like me? And Grandma was like, who cares? There's so many more people, on to the next.
Yeah.
Like, know your worth kind of stuff. So
Also the bar one.
that you won't meet a guy at a bar after 2 a.m. Yeah,
Well,
that
goes
goes
nowhere.
I mean, but the young girls today, mostly women too, really think that's where they're going to find their forever love. And very rarely at 2 o'clock in the morning is anybody picking up their forever love.
That's true.
It happens, maybe.
It happens
but
very rarely.
Rarely, yeah.
Obviously, you've been doing this now for 4 years,
Yeah.
and during this time, October 7th, 2023 was a horrible ordeal, the massacre. Have you dealt, I know you deal mostly with fashion, but have you dealt with this? And did you find that you lost some followers because you spoke about it?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a following across our platforms of about 1 million people, and so with that definitely comes a responsibility to inform and educate, and also just tell everyone where you stand, because our voice, everyone's voice matters, of course. And so when that happened and we made it clear we were on the side of Israel and the Jewish people, we definitely lost some followers. It wasn't like I've seen with other creators, they lost 1 million, like it wasn't that. But I think a lot of our audience is Jewish, so if anything, we saw a ton of support and felt like the community, Jewish and non-Jewish, really stood up for us. But of course, there were some hateful comments.
Many non-Jewish people stood up for us.
Yes.
I mean, because there were some ugly comments that came across, and because, you know, it's just what it is. And but I found the community really did support us across the board, and especially when I was in New York at the time. And you know, we were in shell shock like everybody else at that moment. And Kim has done tremendous work now with the synagogue in Palm Beach and Federation. She moderated an anti-Semitism event last winter. She's very involved in UJA. She's hosting or being honored, actually.
I'm co-chairing the Generosity Gala in New York, which
In
is
March.
about 1,000 young people on March 6th.
Right. For those who are in New York,
just
come on.
Jewish pride and all of that.
Right.
But
we never hide it. We
So
don't
that's what I was
hide it,
gonna
but
ask
we
you, was
don't-
there any-
We don't hide our identity. We never have.
And I
but
will
it's not part. It's also not part of our usual content. But we
Right.
did at this point come out with content for it.
Were you afraid of jeopardizing your viewership, and were you at all reticent about coming out with anything
No,
as
not
part of
at
your
all.
content?
Not
No,
at all.
not
If
at all.
anyone-
And the brands absolutely stayed with us and never even looked back.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm proud of being Jewish. That's not ever something that I would hide. And I hope people feel the same who follow us too, and don't feel scared, because even in the comments, when a lot of these people, they're like faceless and nameless people commenting.
It's easy to do that.
It's so easy to hide behind. So everyone can control this on their own page, on their own channel, but you can actually, Instagram makes it very easy. You can block keywords.
Right.
So I don't allow anyone to comment Palestine, the flag. They started posting watermelons to mean that flag. That's not allowed. So there's certain things, even like if on your page, you can ban the word ugly. Like you can ban whatever you want just to keep it a positive space. So once I did that, it's something I very rarely even have to look at now.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your view on interfaith relationships?
I think that it obviously is so personal and depends on the couple and the people.
Makes it a little harder
probably,
in life.
yeah.
You know, but it certainly is doable. I think it always is a problem because of children. And I think as long as those problems are discussed before marriage, it's really up to the couple. They have to know what's important to them.
Yeah. I think discussing it before and having a plan of either you're going to raise your kid one way or another or both, but because of our history as Jewish people, it would be really sad to lose that moving forward with the next generation. So if it's something that matters to you, I hope that in your relationship it's something you can carry on.
Gail, what advice would you give to young women who are dating and looking for a spouse?
Well, I have specific things that I'm really serious about.
We want to hear them.
No, I don't think women today should be constantly looking for somebody better. The person in front of you is usually the right person at that time.
If they're treating you well.
If they're treating you well, with
you
respect.
love them.
And well, love comes about. That's where we make a major difference in thing. I don't believe that somebody is coming down from heaven and is my one and only.
I didn't say that. Just to be clear. I agree that we disagree on the spark concept.
Right.
You should feel butterflies. Like, we've never agreed on that. But I'm not saying someone should come down from heaven. Like, if Zac Efron wanted to call me, of course I would break up with my boyfriend and go with him.
No, but I think
You don't know what he's really like, though.
Exactly. I'm kidding.
No, I think basically, I really do believe that you have to think about the future. Could I live with this person? Is he going to make a good father?
Yeah.
Is he going to be a good provider? Is he going to be a good husband to me?
Mm-hmm.
Are there things that we can develop together and make a wonderful future? I mean, that's how I looked at my husband, and I don't think it's changed that much. What I think has changed is with the online dating and with all the selections that young women and men have before them on their phone, it becomes almost like a smorgasbord. So you keep swiping, and if this one doesn't comb his hair right, maybe you'll look at the next one.
You don't give them
who
a
does.
chance
You don't
because
give
of
them
the
a chance.
visual.
So my real advice is, don't look for Mr. Perfect. There is nobody perfect. Just someone who you feel you could have a connection with and do wonderful things together.
And the flip side is, I think it gets really hard now. I like what you said of like, will they make a good partner and will they make a good father? Because a lot of the times I've been in this position and I've seen my friends be in it currently or in the past. Like, you can get involved with someone that you think, oh, it's fun, or there's this crazy connection, but then you think, are they treating me well? If they were the father of my children, would I want them to treat
Right.
my daughter like that?
Right.
The answer is usually no.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we really enjoyed having you today.
Thank you.
We ran out of time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Pleasure.
This program is sponsored by Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County.